Hello guys, my name is Mille and welcome back to another Season Max video, the series where I go more in depth on the most important cars of the season. I will be giving a backstory on them, share some facts with you that you might not know yet, show some great AR shots with my favorite details, and show you guys what these cars are capable of. For today I will be talking about the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder, the 2017 Nissan GTR Nismo N-Attack package, and the McLaren Speedtail. I will be showing a tune for each, but I'll also add a stage 5 tune for the N-Attack package, which might be useful for today's Prestige Cup. Down below you will be able to find some timestamps if you want to jump to a specific car. It will be quite a long video, but there is loads of cool info on these cars that might bring out the car fanatic in you. Before I start, there are two things I want to make clear however. The first thing is that I'm by no means the best out there in terms of hitting record times. If record times already exist, I try to get within 5 to 10 thousandths of a second using the record tune. And if there aren't, like for example for the milestone car, I try to set a certain benchmark so that once it becomes available, people can try to beat it. And second, I would also like to thank Natural Motion for providing the cars on my dummy account to make this video possible. In first, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spyder. Yes, another Huracan, but it is considered to be the enhanced, facelifted version of the regular coupe, running the upgraded engine derived from the Huracan Performante, but as an entry level. So instead of putting out a 610 horsepower through the naturally aspired V10, it now puts out 640 standard, allowing it to go from 0 to 60 in just 3.1 seconds. But one of the upgrades that surprised me the most is the integration of the 4-wheel steering system coming from the Aventador S. This means that at low speeds the wheels at the front and the back turn in different directions, to kind of shorten the wheelbase and allow tighter cornering, while at high speeds they turn in the same direction to lengthen the wheelbase, increasing stability during high-speed maneuvers. As far as I'm aware of, the Evo does not have the same ALA active aerodynamics system as the Performante, but it does come with an increased amount of downforce compared to the Huracan Coupe. With the added splitter and the more aggressive looking air intakes in the front, and the small ducktail lip, spoiler and the rear diffuser, the car basically got a nose lift and the rear augmentation. These changes, alongside some other nifty tricks all around the car, give this model 5 times more downforce compared to the standard 2015 Huracan version. Something small about the color of the paint. In the past few seasons we've had a rather sad, winter-esque tone to the cars, like white, black and grey and so on, but this brings a change, with the yellow bringing spring into the game, and what a coincidence that spring only started 5 days ago. Now my favorite details on the car, and to kick it off, the exhaust. The combination of the perforated design and the placement just gives it the full rocket thruster vibe to me. Second thing on the exterior has to be the center lock wheel nuts. They give it a different finishing touch and make it look race ready or to go on a track day. Next up, going more towards the interior, but not there yet, when the roof is down, the logo can be seen on the top of the windshield frame. I do not see the point to this, but it's kind of a funny gimmick. The next item is something you can't even really see in game, and that is a wind deflector, which should be situated around here. This is a little window which can be put up or down to the driver's wish. But what I like the most about this window is when the roof is up, this window in the back can be opened separately, like it would be like your driver's window using a small switch, allowing a free path for the engine sound to travel to the cabin of the car, indulging you into that experience. As we are talking about buttons, small quirk here is the start-stop button. So normally Lamborghini is known for the red lid covering the button to give that airplane style feeling to the consumer where you have to lift it up and then push it in. But this could get boring after a while, and therefore from now on you can choose to either lift it up and start it, or just put your finger through the cover thanks to this enlarged hole and you can just start it right away. The final thing on the interior that I would like to mention is something for the motorcycle fans out there, and that is how the blinkers work. Instead of having like a usual stick behind the steering wheel, there is a left and right switch, just like on motorcycles. This is the case for all Huracans, but it's something not many people know. In terms of performance, the car is slightly slower compared to the Performante, which in some ways is understandable as it's meant to be more of an entry level, but I was expecting it to be more in the range of the 488 Pista Spyder perhaps. Maybe in the future we might see a Huracan Evo Performante Spyder or whatever. But right now it's rocking an 8.136 on my best try. Here is a tune and the pattern. The prestige car for this season is the 2017 Nissan GTR, rocking the N-Attack package, with the package name referring to the dedicated parts used on the 2015 model to set back in 2013 the record for the fastest volume production car on the Nürburgring. This record has been broken for now, but back then it was bloody quick. So you would think that's sweet, right? I can now upgrade my sweet 2017 GTR and get a time attack circuit beast. Well, not really. This package you see here is only limited to vehicles which are registered in Japan. And that is why this Nismo you see here is the only GTR R35 in game with the steering wheel on the right side, as it's a Japanese spec. In reality there are two kits, the A and the B kit, where the A kit is a full option time attack kit and the B is less upgraded with some thought on the daily activities and is also cheaper on the budget. But in game there is no such thing as a budget, so let's go full blast with the A kit. To start off, what changes are there to the engine and the powertrain? Well, in the engine bay itself there is one thing we can see as a massive change, and that is a new dedicated carbon intercooler piping. There is also a new engine control module and new transmission control module, although these are not really visible. The already existing differentials are also both swapped out. At the front, the differential is replaced by a mechanical 1.5 way limited slip differential, and in the rear, the already existing LSD is replaced by a mechanical 2-way LSD. These might be small changes, but will definitely help towards improving the lap time. For the suspension and the brakes then, the shocks and the springs are swapped out and a dedicated stabilizer is in place, and new front brake pads which are made of a different material, increasing the braking force. But now going more towards what is visible to the naked eye, the changes to the exterior. At the front we have a new front fender made entirely out of carbon fiber with what they like to call the flick. This small aero piece which will increase the downforce. Another addition is this rubber lip at the bottom of the splitter, which you don't see on the regular Nismo. And then for the final part is the rear wing, which is mainly made out of carbon fiber. For the interior there are also 3 other changes. First up is the carbon fiber shell bucket seats by Recaro. Then in the back the rear seats are replaced by a quilted cross mats as a way to reduce weight, and another attempt at reducing the weight is by replacing the bulkhead by a carbon fiber piece. That is all for the changes on the A-kit package, and now you might wonder how much will this set me back. Well, let's have a guess. 15, 20, 25,000 you think? It comes down to 9 million yen, or roughly 81,000 US dollars. Bruh. But the one we see in game even goes a step beyond that, as they chose to go for the optional carbon hood gurney and the 6-pin seatbelt. That will set you back another 80,000 and 100,000 yen each, or a total of 1,500 US dollars. And the funny thing is, this gurney will actually make your car illegal for public roads. All summed up, including the car, it should come down to roughly 225,000 US dollars. Bet you didn't expect that. It's a big sum of money on top of a quite expensive car, but the result is quite unique. Some of my favorite bits were already discussed, but there are 2 things I would still like to point out. And that is the way the 6-pin seatbelt is attached to the back, which is a nice detail to follow, and also on the spoiler there are some small aero parts on the wing end plates, making it look like they literally tried to squeeze everything out of it. As for maxed out time, this car is now the 4th fastest free to get pullable tier 4 car, behind the 911 4S Cabriolet, the C8 convertible and the Project Black S. But of those 4, perhaps the best car to upgrade and to use in the Tempest series. Here's my best attempt at using the record tune. Onto the stage 5 tune, and for this one I won't use many words, but I'll still flex with my amazing blue spec that I won on my main account. The stage 5 tune I'll show will not be able to help to beat the final time, but it might help to get a bit further in the Prestige Cup. Perhaps with the combination of the stage 6 part from the Prestige Cup and the one from tomorrow's Crew Cup, you might be able to beat the final time of an 11.99. But now, this tune and pattern will be good for a 12.7. The final car then for this season is the McLaren Speedtail. But if by now you're still watching this video, I guess you are not here to see how fast this car can go, but to hear more what it really is. And to describe it into 2 words, it's a futuristic masterpiece. This is in my eyes McLaren's finest work since the McLaren F1. It is just on another level. Whereas the Senna is more of a track-oriented car, the sole purpose of this hybrid twin-turbocharged V8 teardrop is to try reaching speeds consistently. It's not here to break the 300 mph barrier, it's not here to set records, it's here to drive fast. Not just once, but multiple times in a row. Like how last year they did a test and the car hit 250 mph 30 times in the same day. That is mad. And even better, it only takes 12.8 seconds to reach 300 km/h, which is 8/10 quicker than the regular Chiron. This really is the pinnacle of technology and something I would call futuristic, but it's hard to grasp that it's something of today. The car has some amazing features all around, and going from the front to the back, there are many things that will show the goal of this car, and that is to cut through air like a hot knife through butter. At the front we already see a design aspect like the cutouts on each side, directing the airflow to the side of the car, avoiding turbulence. And the intakes in the hood sit flush with the car, avoiding anything to stick out and breaking the airflow. Going a bit further then, we see one of my favorite features on the car, the static wheel covers. As the goal is to reach high speeds with low drag, you do not want any turbulence created by rotating rims. So McLaren has placed these covers to make sure the airflow is not disrupted. At the end of the hood we see an extension which shrouds the windshield wiper and directs the air directly all over the glass cockpit. This single piece glass cockpit is truly something else. It gives that clean look and makes sure the airflow is maintained. And I gotta say, I like this little ticket window, kind of reminding me of the McLaren F1. If we drop back to the side of the car, you might notice there are no rear view mirrors. Well, there are, but not really. You see those small cutouts? Retractable rear view cameras. Again, trying to reduce as much as possible the disruption of the airflow. Also, the fact that it doesn't have any actual rear view mirrors makes this car illegal for the US market. Going more towards the back then, we get to my favorite part of the car. This is exactly where anyone without any knowledge of cars can almost see how the airflow is supposed to run. Symmetrical along the braking line there are 2 intakes, kind of like a snorkel, which again sits so flush with the streamline of the car that it makes it look so clean. But what we also see here is one of the smoothest transitions I've ever seen in my life of carbon fiber blending into black gloss paint. And the perforation to let some of the heat from the engine go through makes it look even better. If you're wondering what those 2 caps are, one is for the fuel and one is to recharge the car. The goal of such a long tail is to avoid turbulence when the air gets detached of the car, so you try to bleed off the air gently from the bodywork. To avoid any shed lines in the back, the car is fully made out of one big carbon piece. On each side there are cutouts to let air coming from the sides of the car. The exhausts are hidden inside the massive diffuser, which doesn't have a purpose on creating the ground effect, but rather making sure the air can bleed off the edges without creating any unnecessary turbulences. Now if we go into the interior, we see the famous F1 3-seater layout with a driver in the center. The seats are made out of a special leather which actually grips you into it, and the passenger seats aren't really a seat. They are sculpted inside the carbon monocoque. Remember those rear view cameras from earlier? On each side there's a small screen which displays the cameras, so you have in some way an internal rear view mirror. But the thing you can take away the most from the interior is how open it feels like with the glass all around you. It just feels so free and large. Now some of my favorite bits on this car, and I'll go from front to back again. And to start off, the badge. Notice anything different on it? It's made out of carbon fiber. They really tried to squeeze the weight limit here. If you go to the interior again, if you thought this was a plane already, wait until you see this. The control console is placed on top of the driver. Here you can choose between the various modes, the DNR selector, the button to go into velocity mode, and even the buttons to open up the doors. Another small detail inside is the badge behind the driver's seat. This shows that this is in fact a show car we have in game, and when the car goes into production, probably the production number will be displayed on this badge. Going out of the car again, we have the already mentioned brake light, which I love because it's set up vertically, but I also have the rear lights layout, which is skinny, very small, clearly visible, and I absolutely love them. But my absolute favorite thing on this car has to be the hydraulically activated flaps on the back. These are meant to stabilize the car on higher speeds or can be used as an air brake. But as there is no hinge, how do they operate? Well, they actually flex upwards. The body changes shape. How crazy is that? Again, with the goal in mind to keep the body as smooth and as perfect as possible and to not disrupt any airflow. A final item is something that you most probably wouldn't even get to see unless you have AR, and even if you would try it, because you will have to intersect with the model to find an actual toolkit. And these tools are gold plated. Funny gimmick. I could go on and on this car and to why this is such a masterpiece that somehow feels so futuristic. I cannot believe it goes into production this year. As for in-game performance, this is the latest addition to the sub 7 seconds family, nipping in there with a current record of a 6.991, with my best attempt reaching a 6.995. Here is a tune and a pattern. Hehe, another quite long video, not only one to write out about but also to record and edit, so I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It helps out tremendously. Let me know down below the facts that you like the most and that you might even be more surprised about. For more content like this, please subscribe. My name is Mille, see you around and keep racing.